Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an article titled, I Don't Regret a Second of My 9-Month Affair. And a shout out to Barry for sending me this article. And guys, this is about a woman. She is, I believe, 48 years old now. And she's sharing her story, her confessional here. Now, a couple years earlier, she decided out of the blue to start cheating on her husband. Full-blown affair. And the justification for all this is just unreal. Things like trouble sleeping, anxiety at work, all these stupid BS things. And what really is going on here is a female version of the midlife crisis. And instead of communicating with her husband that she's unhappy, trying to work things out with him, therapy, who knows, she justifies it with a whole blown out affair and doesn't care. Even goes on to say it made her marriage better. The biggest steaming pile of crap, and the husband never knows. And she's a mother, might add. And you may be thinking, SSM, why would I want to listen to this whole thing for 15 minutes here? I'm doing it so you guys can see and hear the justifications that are made for doing this type of awful thing. Really. It's unbelievable. And here's the thing. This website from New Zealand, because she's from New Zealand or somewhere not in the U.S., has no problem publishing this almost like it's a badge of honor. And it's sad because nowadays, thanks to the feminist movement, it's almost like a badge of honor. You're empowered if you're cheating on your guy, if you just aren't happy. Because you know darn well, if a man did this, right, if a husband and father said, I don't regret a second of my 9-month affair, people would lose their minds. And rightly so. But if it's the opposite, well, no big deal. So I'm going to go through this and you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about and hear the justification for this whole thing. But before I do, real quick, a guy sent me like a quick email, short story about something he experienced years back in his early days. That'd be pretty funny. This guy says, hello SSM. I don't know if this story will work for one of your videos, but I hope it gives you a chuckle. It made me laugh when I heard it earlier. Earlier today, I was reminded of a story my brother told me back in 2011. So obviously some of the details might be missing. He was out with a couple of his friends at a bar, and they were talking to a couple of girls. It was last call, and the two girls had just ordered drinks. They finished them very quickly and started bugging my brother and his friends to take them to get breakfast. Take them along or to pay for their breakfast at Denny's or wherever. And by the way, I've seen this so many times. Last call, girls will order drinks, and it could be 2 minutes before the freaking bar closed. They'll order beers, whoosh, down them like sailors. It's amazing. So my brother told them to follow him. Stupid idea. But thankfully, they insisted on riding with him and his friends. They went to a Waffle House where the alcohol was really hitting these girls. They all ordered food. My brother kept telling the girls, don't fall asleep. I assumed they were showing signs of passing out, but again, it's been over a decade since I was told this story. Well, the girls passed out right there at the table. So the food comes out. My brother and his friends eat their own food. The girls don't wake up, so they eat the girls' food. Well, what do you expect a bunch of intoxicated, hungry guys to do? Then when the bill came, they stuck in front of the girls and left them at the table. He told them not to go to sleep. Moral of the story is, when someone tells you not to make a stupid choice, don't make a stupid choice. Also, don't get hammered when out in public. There you go. That's pretty funny. Okay, now we got a laugh in us. Now we can cover this story that makes us want to barf. Starts off, says here, anxiety at work, trouble sleeping, and shorter gaps between periods. At 44, I recognize all the telltale signs of premenopause. Those horribly erratic years preceding what my mother still insists on referring to as, in a lower tone, as the change. A flare of acne, increased sweating, a filthy temper, and undeservingly awful hangovers. You know when a girl writes these things because of the fucking details. I read all about these happening, and here they were indeed. Yet no one had forewarned me about the dramatic change in the sex drive I experienced, not even Davina McCall. My desire levels, having previously been a once a week is plenty sort of wife, or frankly once a fortnight, suddenly resembled that of an insatiable teenage boy. Okay, so she's going through the pre-meno, you know what, and now her sex drive has gone through the roof. And obviously, it sounds like she's saying she was having it once a week or maybe once a month with her husband. Talk about a stereotype. Obviously, she wasn't very interested in her husband. And now it's on overdrive. What's a girl to do? And I'm sorry to say that my desperately increased new sex drive was not directly at my husband of 8 years. Instead, to fulfill my urges, I purposely sought out sex with a stranger. It'd be quite reasonable to think that makes me sound like an appalling human being. Yes. But I don't regret a second of my 9-month affair. In fact, it's probably the reason I'm still married and happily so. Right there. Doesn't regret a thing. It's the reason I'm still married. Justification. Can you imagine if, again, I said this in the beginning, if a guy said this, a husband and father said that, I don't regret it. You know the torches and pitchforks would be coming after him. He would get a wrath of Khan hellfire against him. But if it's, a gal here, oh, no big deal. She's been having mood swings. She's been having a hard time sleeping. The job is getting stressful, so, 9-month affair, no big deal. No, that's completely inexcusable. And meanwhile, the whole guy has no idea. Now, I'm going to read her story here, and you're going to see some of the things she does during this affair that, again, is classic signs that guys should watch out for. Initially, my head was turned by the best-looking father at the school gates with his glamorous job in film. While in bed with my husband, having the half-aroused, comforting, Sunday morning kind of sex that had become routine, I often imagined it was with hot dad instead. A harmless fantasy surely never hurt anyone's marriage? ? Yeah, well, the fantasy, okay, fine, we can all window shop in our minds, but it doesn't mean, or window shop, but it doesn't mean we should actually act upon it. I mean, there are plenty of guys out there that love their wives or girlfriends, and they're not going to cheat on them, but trust me, their mind's in the gutter because, well, we're guys. Well, women are going to do that too, but you don't act on it. I wasn't stupid enough to commit adultery on my home turf, but after years of nice enough sex, something to tick off the to-do list, suddenly I was lusting after every imaginable cliche there was. The gym instructor, the barman, the kid's swimming teacher. It felt primitive, animalistic, and so unlike me. A home county's married mother, too, who works in pensions. Unlike you, really? Is it possible she's not mentioning probably this may have happened before? Because you don't suddenly get to your 40s and never cheated before ever and all of a sudden do in great enthusiasm and covertly what she does. I even started secretly watching PORN for the first time. Yeah, sure. Marveling at the eye-popping categories and curious kinks I'd never heard of. I discovered new terms such as learning what cream pies are, facials, and daddy doms. Even acts I would have previously described as disgusting somehow turned me on. Is it possible that what really turned her on was the idea of cheating on her husband, who obviously she has resentment for? If she's this unhappy that she has to go do this, okay, fine. Things don't work out, break up with the guy. No, it's easier to cheat on him and your kids, I might add, and not regret the whole thing, and stay with him, paying the bills, keeping the life that everybody sees on the outside, and then have her fun on the side. No, not cool. My sister, who gladly shut up shop in this area ages ago, rolled her eyes when I told her, snapping slightly, buy a vibrator. I then confided in my oldest gay friend, and he laughed too, and even advised an affair. Just F him. So she told her sister that she was hinting at her sister about this. The sister, honestly, should have read her the riot act and maybe warned the husband. And that's exactly what I did. I never wanted to threaten my solid marriage to a decent man or the security of our nice Buckinghamshire home life. Oh, okay, she's from the UK. But I was entirely driven by a novel urge before I was old and dried up. Hear that? She didn't want to threaten her marriage. She didn't want to threaten her nice lifestyle. So, Now, no, duh, of course she's not going to do it where she lives on her home turf. I joined the coyly named dating site Illicit Encounters, specifically for married people seeking affairs. Knowing that for both parties discretion would be key and expectations would be similar, it felt safer than signing up to a hot dad and having my cozy life implode. Everything on IE, as it was called, was anonymous. Remember years ago when that Ashley Madison website for cheaters was hacked and all of a sudden all these names were on the internet, all the divorces that came out of that? Maybe some of you guys had your wives looking your name up on something like that, There weren't pictures to scroll, just ages, jobs, and multiple emojis. Just think wine and flowers, more than lewd things. It was full of gentlemen she puts gentlemen in quotes, expressing their wishes for delicious romantic dates and special ladies. Many claim they didn't want to rock the boat at home, but desired adventure. Oh, for God's sakes. I could hardly mock them for being basic when I was seeking the same thing. Picking a bland username, I chatted with several men, accountants, ex-army, businessmen, with anyone remotely promising. You then move the chat off the site onto WhatsApp to swap pictures and life tales. It was a bizarre and yet not enjoyable process. I needed to confide in someone about the excitement, so I updated my gay friend frequently. It was fun. Once I found someone who was not weird, I agreed to meet. So her friend knows about this whole thing. I mean, that's despicable. There you go, guys. Hear this whole thing. So this is why I tell you, pay attention to red flags and look for red flags. And again, someone's phone or browser history on their computer opens, it reveals everything. And so I met Luke, a Bedfordshire dad of two, for an after-work drink in town one evening. Despite working in IT and attending a famous public school, he had tattoos and a ponytail. Really? Ponytail in the 2020s? Does he wrap it up in a man bun sometimes? It was different and sexy. He ran ultra marathons and did not drink, but I certainly downed a gin as we flirted and then we kissed. I caught the train feeling exhilarated. I had no such experience with another man in 14 years as meeting my husband. Returning home to my husband in his tracksuit after putting the girls to bed, I didn't feel terrible at all. I actually instigated sex midweek to his delight. So she goes out and meets this guy and was making out with him, and she got all the attention and validation and the butterflies and excitement, and she goes home and makes out and hooks up with her husband because she's so excited by this whole thing. Meanwhile, she was making out with that other dude just earlier. I hope she had to use some Listerine. I hope she brushed her teeth, for God's sakes. What a fucking Lily. She enjoyed it. It excited her with him not knowing. Now, I haven't heard anything about her husband here. She hasn't mentioned anything that he was doing bad things or cheating on her or not paying attention to her or working too much or something like that, which I'm actually kind of surprised. But she didn't want to rock the boat. She didn't want to screw up her perfect little life. She wants the cake and eat it too. She's a selfish asshole. There are plenty of them out there, gentlemen. She also says, perhaps surprisingly, I continued sleeping with my husband throughout my entire affair with Luke, with whom I strictly used condoms. Following the first illicit kiss came a thrilling scream of X-rated texts, and we anticipated doing it when Luke's work put him in a hotel. I don't know what was more intoxicating, the choosing of new underwear and getting a Hollywood wax, or the novel sensation of feeling a different man inside of me. Hear that? She got a Hollywood wax and different underwear. The point is, she's making changes. This is what the husband should be paying attention to. All of a sudden, she's getting a Brazilian wax or whatever the hell they call it. All of a sudden, she's probably hiding the spicy lingerie and underwear, but you get the point. It wasn't that Luke was a better lover, though being a teetotal and a sports freak didn't hurt, but I enjoyed the SCX more because I felt different, liberated, assertive, willing to try new things. If you want to be liberated and try new things, then you should get divorced, or you shouldn't have got married in the first place. And remember, she has 2 daughters, young daughters, obviously. Liberated. Yeah, all the feminists are like, woohoo! I truly let myself go, but never once did I stay the whole night. My husband was well used to me sleeping and showering in the spare room after my client dinners. Spare room after client dinners? What the hell does that mean? Does it mean she goes out with client dinners and gets drunk and doesn't want to be her in the same room or something? In those dizzying months, I thought of sex nonstop and easily dropped the 10 pounds post-baby weight that I never managed to shift. I bought new clothes and smiled more. Luke and I met every 2 weeks when he stayed in town. Other than that, our affair was fueled by sexting and even once video sex. She dropped 10 pounds. The post-baby weight she couldn't shake off. Well, now she could lose that. And she said here also new clothes and smiling a lot. So we have her losing weight, her Brazilian wax, her, what else? Changing clothes. I'm sure she was on the phone a lot more often and hiding her phone, but she's not mentioning that. These are the signs. This is what you always hear in the stories I cover. So remember these signs, guys, whether you're married or engaged or just a girlfriend. Right here. The only change my husband noticed was my more groomed bikini wax, and I shrugged truthfully. I don't like going gray there. I know I should feel guilty. Adulterers are supposed to, but I didn't. And I don't. I never had entertained leaving my husband or everything we built together, but I was having a ball. Again, doubling and tripling down and not feeling guilty. Nope. I deserved it. While I was totally wrapped up in a sexual, very naughty thoughts about Luke, none of them involved running off with him. He was too bitter about his wife, too boring about his fitness, and just too vegan for me. Here we go. Now she's getting bored of him, so now she's finding excuses. You know, he's too this, he's too that. That's what they do. Seeing him neatly fold his pants after passionate sex finally gave me the ick. I ended on the phone with him saying I wanted to go off with my husband. Making a go of it with my husband. And I meant it. Luke seemed disappointed, but I knew he'd never caused me any trouble at home. I imagine he soon hooked up with someone else on the site. So, him neatly folding up his pants, that's what did it for her. I knew a gal once I was acquainted with who was nuts. And you can probably guess what her name was. A little Italian chick. And she once says that she refused to go on another date with a guy because he used the word bland when they were having dinner. Bland. Big fucking deal. But that's how freaking shallow and petty she was. She always found reasons to get rid of guys. And that same girl, to this day, never had a guy. And had to have a baby through the IVF or whatever because she was nuts. No one was good enough for her. Now she's raising a kid. But that kid is going to he'll become her son husband in 20 years. After the affair ended 3 years ago, I never chased another one. Oh, well, you're a saint. Nor would I. It served a purpose at a time I needed it. Only my gay friend knows, certainly not my sister. I describe my marriage as happy. My husband and I still have regular sex, though I regained the 10 pounds and stopped waxing. There you go. Fair's over. The weight's come back on and she stopped the waxing. She probably stopped dressing like she did. She's probably not on her phone as much. I'm 47 now, still moody and anxious sometimes, yet I no longer fantasize about other men. Until you turn 50 and need to prove something to yourself that you still got it. I'm not proud of my behavior, but it was instinctive and primal. What do you mean you're not proud of your behavior? The whole time you kept saying you don't regret this at all. The title of the goddamn thing here is, what the hell is, I don't regret a second of my 9-month affair. And now you're saying here, you're not proud of your behavior? Don't bullshit us. I mean, right, multiple times. You all heard it. The menopause is closer, but at least now I've ticked all the sex and excitement boxes I ever wanted to, all while keeping my marriage intact. Well, you're such a hero. So, there you go, guys. I know this isn't a happy story or article here or video here that with the ending that you all want to hear, but I'm doing this as an example. What happens, the justifications out there. And again, I looked to see if there was a comment section because a lot of articles had them. I couldn't find it, so they obviously disabled it for a reason because you know darn well. But and again, this is New Zealand, and what I've been told about New Zealand and Australia and some of those other countries, you know, how they are with the gals. But anyhow, yeah, there you go. So proving what I hear and I cover in all these stories when guys send them in about the change in clothes, change in behavior, suddenly working out, suddenly losing weight, the Brazilian wax, the changing of the hair, doing all these things that she normally did not do for you. Pay attention to that. It's very important. And I'm willing to bet you that this dude that she was hooking up with for 9 months, as she claimed, probably got way more spicy, adventurous activities in the hay than her husband ever got, guaranteed. And again, maybe her husband's the biggest a-hole in the world to her. I don't know. She certainly would. I think that she would certainly say that if he was, but I don't think he was. I think he was just a regular husband, father, did his thing, took care of his family, and in her mind, she justified it because she was moody and a little angry and stressed at work, and there you go. Not cool. If you're unhappy, if you got to that point that you got to go cheat, then end it. Or at the very least, if you're unhappy, talk to your guy. Or if you're a guy watching this, talk to your wife. But don't go do that, because eventually it's going to come out. And I guarantee you, if she got caught, it'd be the same waterworks and drama and bullshit and probably get the guy to take her back. It's ridiculous. But anyhow, guys, there you go. Real life example, a confessional, if you will. A woman, not here in the United States. This is the type of crap that happens, so be careful. Alright, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below and let me know what you think about this. And guys, you come across a good article, because I want to do a couple articles a week, showing you what's going on in the world and relating to men, stuff like that. Whether it's serious stuff or funny stuff, send it my way, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. Also, if you got your own personal story, which I primarily cover in this channel, or a specific question you have about a certain scenario you're in, email me as well, and I'll definitely cover it if in fact those work. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.